This is Motorsport Radio. Join the conversation and have your say on motorsport-radio.com. Motorsport Radio. The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Hello and welcome to another live edition of the Superbike Show. My name is Lester. This is Motorsport Radio. Welcome to the show. In the next couple of hours, you will hear from BSB rider and Northwest 200 winner Glenn Irwin. He'll be here on the show live answering your questions and ours as well, providing that we can think of any good ones to come up with. And so he'll be here on the show a little bit later, and also we've got the latest news from all over the world in World Superbikes. The latest 2018 calendar, the provisional calendar, is released today. We'll tell you about it, and we'll be asking you the question as well. Which circuits do you think should or shouldn't be on the calendar? And will you be going to Donington? Donington is officially on the calendar. It's set for, I think, the middle of May-ish. We'll tell you exactly later on when and where it's going to be. But have you already decided that you're not going? And if not, why not? If you are, then tell us why. It was a bone of controversy, let's say, a bone of contention for some people when we last spoke about this subject a couple of shows ago. We'll roll through any of the latest news, including any big breaking news that breaks on the show live, however unscheduled that might be. We'll be live on Facebook right now. We'll be live on Twitter. We'll be live on Twitch, I think. We're live all over and on our website, motorsport.radio, where you can join up and be an official listener to the show as well. So a big thank you and hello to everybody who is already tuned in to our show live. And my name is Lester. Thank you very much for coming along with us. And once again, joining us, he's back. Yes, we've not quite kicked him out of the show just yet. It is, please welcome back, Kiko Alexander Giles. Hello, good evening, Kiko.
Good evening. I'm much healthier this week. It was horrible doing the show last week with a terrible cold, probably one of the hardest ones I've had to do, but it's nice to be back fully fit and ready to go. No need for a medical update from me today because I'm all good. I completely forgot about that. But last week, folks, Kiko was dangerously, perilously ill, on the brink of death. We couldn't even tell, to be honest, until Tony Morris reminded us a couple of days ago by posting something rather amusing on Kiko's Facebook. We won't go into it too much, but let's just hope he's well and has no use for a rubber ring. All good here.
Thank you.
Ready to go, as always.
Yeah, and a big hello to everyone who's either downloaded the show as an audio podcast as well, which you might not know. That is also an option of being able to do. You can listen to the show as you're commuting to a racetrack somewhere in the world, as we know people do that. People ferry themselves off to MotoGP events, for example, and listen to this show or even watch it, and then realise that they've wasted 2 hours of their life in doing so.
Stuff they already know.
But it's nice to have you around for company. So yes, Glenn Irwin coming on the show a bit later on, and we will be taking your questions. So if you want to ask the Northwest 200 winner anything in particular, anything clean, anything nice and suitable, then we will promise to put the best, only the finest, like the world has never seen, questions to him. He might answer them, he might not. I'm told he's currently right now engaged very, very heavily in a very enthralling game of online FIFA at the moment. So once he's done that, he'll come on and celebrate with us about it, no doubt. Kiko, lots of stuff to get through this evening, but I suppose first of all, if you got yourself up for the most recent MotoGP event, or you stayed up as Kiko always does, you may have been aware, you probably was aware anyway, of some very, very sad, unfortunate involving the Moto2 team owner Stefan Kiefer.
That's right, Stefan Kiefer. We woke up to the terrible news on Friday. Stefan Kiefer had passed away quite suddenly over the course of the weekend. It was Friday morning. Stefan Kiefer was the team boss of Kiefer Racing, which took their first win in 125cc racing in 2008 with Stefan Bradl. Went on to win the championship in Moto2 with Stefan Bradl. And they also won the 2015 Moto3 championship with Danny Kent. They stepped up to Moto2 again last year with Miguel Oliveira and Danny Kent, and they stayed in the class this year, making a switch from Kalex machinery to Suter machinery, which has been mildly successful with Dominique Agutter coming in, and obviously, of course, he gave Britain's own Taryn McKenzie a chance at the world level as well. So very sad news coming then from MotoGP paddocks there. And Stefan Kiefer suddenly died on Friday morning. A massive shock. None of us could believe it.
And the team not taking part in any of the weekend's racing, understandably so.
Yeah, absolutely. We don't know if they're going to be at Valencia. I would do imagine they would be in some capacity, whether they just go there set up or if they go there and race. I'm not so sure. We will find out nearer the time. But terrible news. It's been a really bad year in terms of tragedies throughout bike racing. Of course, it wasn't so long ago that Maxime Berger had taken his own life, and we reported that one as well. So lots of sad news this year in MotoGP, British Superbikes, World Superbikes, and throughout all paddocks. Really, it's been quite a tough one for us this year.
Unfortunately, yes, it has. And we at Motorsport Radio and Motorsport Media also extend our very deepest, biggest sympathies to the Kiefer Racing team and all of the people who knew the team boss and anybody who was sort of close to him and the team as well. And it's, like you say, tremendous shock, especially. I think it was partly the reaction that everybody had was because it was so kind of like completely sort of random. It had nothing to do with like any track event or anything like that. Not that stuff like that makes it okay, but yeah, it wasn't like we knew of any health problems that he had, or that he was having treatment for anything or we might have been, but we don't know. And that's what really was the shock at the end of the day. None of us knew, none of us even thought that could be a possibility, and none of us expected it then. We say we expect things in motorcycle racing when things like this do happen, but not like that. Not from a team owner. It's very, very sad. And he was a massive presence in the paddock. I was in the paddock in Misano, and he walked past me. I mean, we didn't talk, but you just see there's people asking for selfies with him, and he was a proper character in the paddock, and he will be missed massively. He's a double champion in Moto2 in 2011 with Stefan Bradl, and like we're saying, 2015 in Moto3 with our own Danny Kent. So terrible news, really, and it'll be interesting to see where the Kiefer Racing team go from here as well. Hopefully, they can stick around. But it's probably best to not speculate on that at this point in time. We will keep you up to date, however, through the winter on motorsport.radio and on this show, on the Superbike show as well. So, terrible shame. We have other things to discuss as well. We will get round to talking about the World Superbike 2018 calendar, the provisional calendar, subject to, I think, one track being ratified or homologated or something.
Homologated, a new circuit in Argentina, but we'll get onto that later.
Exactly. We are asking the question this evening, though, if you have already seen the calendar, which circuits do you think should or shouldn't be on the calendar, and will you be going to Donington? And if you are or aren't, why? Tell us. We want to know. Thank you to everybody who's already tuned in live to the show. This is the Superbike Show. My name is Lester. Kiko Alexander-Giles is here. This is Motorsport Radio. Steve Buckingham already tuned in as ever. Hello. He's an early bird watcher of the show. Seems like very early. As soon as we go on air, as soon as we start streaming, he's there. Volvo here, he says, Steve. And he's seemingly teasing us regarding 2 riders that have been signed to be announced very soon.
Well, Steve, I know you're listening, so you can come on the show and do it yourself. Otherwise, we'll ring you up just like last time and keep you on your toes, catch you off guard. We might even do that tonight, but we won't.
So yeah, and also as well, do share the stream wherever you're tuned into us as well, because sharing is caring.
Absolutely,
and we want to know that you know. So, I suppose you can show your appreciation and gratitude, or lack of being offended at the content of the show by just giving us a nice little share. And maybe some of your other bike friends or motorsport friends might want to know about what we do here, usually every week.
Absolutely.
So yeah, moving on to well, I suppose since we started on the MotoGP package, Moto 3, Kiko. Let's start there. And wow, one of the biggest high sides for what's his name? I forgot the guy's name, but I certainly remember seeing it.
Unbelievable how that kid got up and walked off from that.
He got back on the bike, started racing again.
Got back on the bike. He should attempt to ride or take part in the Olympics for the Japanese Olympic team, because that was ridiculous. You know, I think it
was at least 10 foot in the air.
It's gotta be. That was huge. What happened there? If you haven't seen it, it's all over online. I mean, Tatsuki Suzuki's become a bit of a celebrity online, I've got to say, to all of this. But that was the Moto 3 race. So excuse me, plagues has come back for a moment. That was the Moto 3 race, and that was the first time accident. But apart from that, what a race we saw. Joan Mir took the victory in the first race of the day. But it was Jorge Martin who actually got a great jump off the line. He was about half a second clear by turn 4. So Jorge Martin was well and truly off and running. Joan Mir started into second. Both Ben Schneider was pushing and shoving his way through into third place as well. As they all settled down, obviously there was a pattern that formed. Jorge Martin had around a 2-second lead. At one point, Joan Mir closed it down, got past him with a few laps in, down at turn 9. Which is a left-handed hairpin, overtaking hotspot at Sepang. Not long after, Enea Bastianini, who hasn't won a race yet this year, closed up on him, but it wasn't to be. No one got back past Joan Mir. Joan Mir went off and took the victory by around, it was a comfortable lead in the end as far as Moto 3 standards are concerned.
Yeah, 7/10 of a second it was. Nearly 7.5 tenths.
Yeah, exactly. Nearly a second, though. That's quite a respectable margin, especially around a circuit that's got 2 massive long straights, which are obviously great for slipstreaming. Second place was Jorge Martin, and third place was Joan Mir. And third place was Enea Bastianini, sorry. Joan Mir actually took his 10th win of the season, the first time since Marc Marquez in 2010 that someone has won 10 races in a lightweight class. It also puts him on with the potential of getting 11 race wins should he win at the Ricardo Tormo circuit in Valencia. Now, that would mean that it would level him with Valentino Rossi's record of 11 set back in 1997. We said it last week, and we're saying it again this week. This kid has bags and bags of talent. He's being compared to the likes of Marquez and Valentino Rossi. If he can go up to Moto 2 next season and deliver on the Mark VDS Galax, that has been the bike to beat this year, I wouldn't put it past him. Doing very well indeed. So
will he actually do it, though?
I think he will. I absolutely think he will. He came into the series last year, in 2016, very, very well. Took his first win in Austria. And he's won more races this year. And he's done exactly what, really, Valentino Rossi did when he came in. In 1996, he came in exactly 20 years after. In 2016, did Mir. He took a win mid-season, was kind of there or thereabouts until the end. Finished mid-table, really good results, and for his first full season, you know, that's a brilliant achievement. And he was the only one of the Leopard bikes that ever looked like they could ever do something. Fabio Quartararo never looked as good as Joan Mir did last year. Into this year, Joan Mir hit the ground running straight away, won almost instantly. It was a brilliant sight to see Joan Mir clearing up at the front, and he's won 10 races. If he wins one more, he'll be identical to Valentino Rossi, as we say, and he literally would have replicated Valentino Rossi's career to date so far. So he has massive potential.
So you really think? I mean, yes, there are those sort of comparisons, as you say, that he's on the verge of potentially matching, or could even sort of beat Rossi's record. But I think maybe you've gone one step a bit further by actually saying he will do it, and that he is as. I think you were sort of intimating that he is as good as Rossi was back then.
Absolutely. You've got to remember, we're in a time now where, okay, the 1-to-5cc racing used to have packs of 7 or 8, or maybe sometimes 10 or 11. But there are some races now where the whole field is covered by 6 seconds in Moto3. That is an unprecedented depth of talent in one field. And if Joan Mir, not only can he win from the front, he can win in battles. He can win in wet weather, he can win in dry weather. He can win in pretty much any circumstance. He won on the KTM machinery last year. He's won on Honda machine this year, and he's won the title this year. He's a very all-rounded rider, which makes me think, and whilst they may be a totally different bike, the Moto2, because the Moto3 bikes are actually technically nearer to a Grand Prix bike than what a Moto2 bike is. It's very standard. But the Moto2 bike, because Joan Mir is so rounded, I think he will get on it. He won't win straight away. I think it'll take him some time. But I do not think he'll be a rider such as Nico Tirol, for example, who's gone from one class to another and struggled straight away. Sandro Cortese, Alex Marquez being another. Alex Marquez has had to build up over the time. I think Joan Mir, halfway through the season, will be looking at podiums. I think he's definitely got that talent, and I think he could do it.
One rider who looked like he could have done something really good, perhaps got himself on the podium, wasn't to be. He seemingly struggled for whatever reason, sliding down the order. Had some good battles though, and ultimately finished just 11 seconds off the pace, but ahead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other riders within a second, kept a whole pack of riders behind him. John McPhee finished 5th in the end in Moto3. And yeah, like I said, he didn't quite manage to get a podium, but he was looking pretty strong.
Yeah, John McPhee really came good towards the end of that race, I must say. He looked phenomenal. He battled his way through. Looked like he actually lost a lot of the pace that we thought he'd had through the weekend. And that, to me, shows that John McPhee still has got what it takes to be in Moto3.
He can get his arms out, certainly. I mean, did you on lap? I think lap 1 or lap 2, when he was just beginning to sort of get a bit hustled down the order, but you could still tell that he wasn't taking it lying down, was he?
Not at all. Not at all. John McPhee really dug deep towards the end of the Moto3 race. And in fact, I think he came through from 10th at one point, straight into, like, not straight into it, but he made it one after the other, didn't get pushed back when he did make the moves. Was 5th across the line. Fantastic result for John McPhee. Obviously, he holds 7th now in the championship. He's 7 points adrift of Adea Bastianini, and he's 5 points clear of Andrea Migno, who I believe in that race was 6th. So let me just check my notes. I'm sure he was 6th. We'll check now. When we get
he was 6th in the race.
He was 6th. Andrea Migno was 6th, which is better than what I can say was his teammate's result. Nicolo Bulega had a disastrous race, and you got to wonder if he can adapt to a Moto3 bike on the world level. He's been a bit of a crasher this year, and he's not fared too well at the VR46 Riders Academy team.
Overall, though, the Moto3 race for you, would you say it was Mir the standout performer? Who would you give the rider of the race to, ultimately?
Rider of the race, I'd actually give to the 11th place man, Adam Norridin, because he was well up there. The young Malaysian at home, the crowd were going mental for him. There's 100,000 people cheering him on. And he just tucked the front down into the first turn, and he got back up in a flash. He actually got back up so quickly that he was able to rejoin in 14th place, right behind the group that he was ahead. So not a problem. He picked his way back through into 11th, held off his teammate, Ayumu Sasaki. So not a bad day at the office for Adam Norridin, a case of maybe what could have been his best result in Grand Prix. Nonetheless, though, crashing out 4th, going back to 14th, finishing 11th, I think they'll take that. Will the sick Moto3 team. Of course, they keep him and Ayumu Sasaki for next year. That's some Moto3 news for you.
And on to Moto2 and the championship really was kind of over before it kind of got started, really, wasn't it?
It was, and I don't think none of us wanted to see a championship decided like that, but it's happened in the past. We saw it in 2011 when Marc Marquez got injured, when he was chasing down Stefan Bradl towards the end of the year. Marquez got injured, Stefan Bradl took the championship without even having to turn a wheel on race day. So
for the fans, it's a bit of a letdown. We'd like to see things battled out on track with dramatic fashion, of course, but these things happen sometimes.
These things do happen sometimes, and who knows? Maybe Thomas Lutti's made the right decision. Let his foot heal, his ankle heal, whatever's the problem. I think it's 2 fractures in his foot. I'm not so sure on that. I will research that for us. But Tom Luthi obviously making a decision for the long-term benefit because he goes up to MotoGP next year as Franco Morbidelli's teammate in the Mark VDS camp. So he's got to be fully fit. Probably will delay his MotoGP test now on that Honda that he was meant to have straight after the Valencian Grand Prix. Franco Morbidelli, though, took the championship, as we said, by warm-up in the morning, but he wasn't as dominant as we thought he would be in MotoGP, in the Moto2 race, because that honour went to the KTMs again. Brilliant result from Miguel Oliveira. Again, 2 wins on the trot, 2 1-2s on the bounce for KTM, because Brad Binder followed it up in 2nd place, and that has actually moved Miguel Oliveira to 3rd in the championship now, and well clear of Alex Marquez because he had a tumble early on in the race. And Brad Binder has climbed all the way up to 9th place, so fantastic stuff from the KTMs in their first year. Hard to forget that, of course. Hard to think that this bike has never actually been on any of these circuits before. It's an incredible achievement, I must say, from KTM and from their riders as well. Miguel Oliveira didn't have an easy season last year. Brad Binder obviously comes up to Moto2 this year as last year's Moto3 champion. So he's living up to his name. Miguel Oliveira has really stepped up as well. KTM as a manufacturer have stepped up. They are going to be, I think, the manufacturer to beat next season. I don't think it'll be a Calix whitewash as we've seen before. And a factory speed-up team will be out there next season. Danny Kent's on that one. So that will be interesting too. As for the race, though, Miguel Oliveira looked like he had it all done fairly early on. Francesco Bagnaia was the rider pushing and shoving down into the first turn. Got his way into 2nd place. Alex Marquez was 3rd. Franco Morbidelli only 4th. There was a massive crash at the back of the field. Andrea Locatelli came in, took out Luca Marini, which then cannoned into Axel Pons, and that sent local rider Kyle Ida Powie flying off.
Yeah.
Obviously, the crowd were quite sad about that. Alex Marquez, like we just said, crashed at turn 2, and then over at turn 6, it was a massive off. Sandro Cortese got his Suter, his Dynamo Intact GP Suter, completely crossed up, nowhere to go, went straight into the back of Takaki Nakagami. Nakagami slid one way, Cortese slid another. Actually looked like separate incidents. Cortese's bike cartwheel caught fire, and in the space of 6 corners, the Idemitsu Honda team had both their riders taken out innocently. Kyle Eden Parry at turn 1, Takaki Nakagami at turn 6. There was a lot of crashes on the opening lap of the Moto2 race.
Yeah, and it was a race of attrition, let's say, which is, as we all know, code for saying it was an absolute crash fest. But in comparative terms, yeah, like you say, a lot of people DNFing and not managing to get through that first lap, ultimately. But again, I'll ask you the same thing. Who was the rider of Moto2 for the race in Malaysia?
Again, I'm going to go slightly offline here, excuse the pun, and so I'm going to say Stefano Manzi.
Why?
Now, I thought you'd have that response. Stefano Manzi, for most of this season, has been slated by people in MotoGP, commentators, journalists, some other riders maybe as well, people, fans from looking in from the outside saying, he won't do anything, he's not done anything, he's a perennial backmarker, blah, blah, blah.
Wait, well, is this the same Manzi who didn't finish the race? Who you're giving the...
Just hear me out, Lester.
Okay.
I said all season long, and this is not me saying I told you so, but
Oh,
I did say so. That Stefano Manzi would come good at Silverstone because that's where he went into the championship in Moto3 last year and shocked everyone. Stefano Manzi goes to Silverstone, finishes in the top 10. I think he got 6th actually, or 7th. Since then, Stefano Manzi's been a different rider. He crashed out of the top 10 in Misano. He looked very good in Aragon. He looked competitive in Japan. He looked very good in Australia. And he crashed out of 8th place in Sepang. Now, okay, crashes, but it's better. You've got a fast rider going fast, but now he's crashing. So you just got to get him to stop crashing. And that can be done. He moves teams next year to the Forward Racing. Hopefully, Forward Racing will live up to their name and actually get their riders progressing forward because they've struggled this year with that. Stefano Manzi, on the other hand, though, has really impressed me. Qualified 17th for Sunday's race. Halfway round lap 1, he was 7th. Now, that isn't because so many riders crashed out. Because the riders who crashed out at turn 1, all 4 of them that had to go wide and whatnot, they were actually behind him. So Stefano Manzi has impressed me a little bit. He held pace with the top 8 as well. Got 8th place, and then he just made a silly error, lost the front, tipping into the notorious turn 9. So Stefano Manzi, for me, just shone a little bit more. If I was to look at results, obviously, Miguel Oliveira, class act, fantastic finish, 2 wins from 2. For 2 1-2s for KTM on the bounce, the first time the Austrian manufacturer has ever had something like that.
So you're changing it now to Oliveira. That's your rider of the race.
If I was to look at the riders that finish, it's obviously going to be Oliveira. But
is he allowed to do that, folks? I mean, we asked, like, who's the best rider of that race? He goes, well, I think it might be the guy who flew off the bike in middle of the race. But there again, it might be the winner of the race. I've not decided yet.
I was very impressed when I was watching it live by Stefano Manzi. So therefore, I'm going to say Stefano Manzi. But Oliveira was impressive too. But
there again, can you really attribute the best rider of the race to someone who didn't finish?
As being the best rider?
Well, someone who finishes might, be a start.
Lester, if you was in a race, if you personally was in a race and you led 5 laps and there was 1 lap to go, and you didn't finish, I'd still say you was the rider of the race.
I mean, like, if there were extenuating circumstances, if he'd have come from the back of the grid to lead most of the race, and then whatever, it started pouring with rain, and he and a load of other people flew off the track, you could probably argue, yeah, he kind of might. No one would disagree with you by saying that, but. Is he right, folks? I don't think he. I think he can't.
You asked a question. I gave you an answer.
No, you gave me 2 answers. You said I like this guy, but then again, I'm going to pick the guy who won.
2 in Glossop.
Well, you should have listened to the question because I asked you which rider of the race was your favourite.
All right, Stefano Manzi then. That's that solved.
All right.
Now,
fine.
We've got, just before we move on, I noticed you skipped out the Moto3 and Moto2 news, so we'll get that done for you now. We'll go to Moto3 first. Been announced earlier today that Darren Binder will be moving ship from the Platinum Bay Real Estate KTM team, and he will be moving to the Red Bull IO KTM team, the same team that his brother Brad Binder won the championship with the last season. He'll be going there, and Ken Onchu and Dennis Onchu are going to be going into a brand new Moto3 team in the CEV Championships. Them two obviously went into the final round of the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup with a chance of winning it.
Are they related to Pikachu?
Did win it. I don't think so. I haven't wrote that down in my notes. So okay. I'm just looking. No, sorry.
Apologies if you offended. I don't care.
Anyway, I just mentioned the Asia Talent Cup. There's a perfectly good reason for that because I want to talk about the Asian Talent Cup, actually. What a competitive class it really is. We had, going into Sepang, right, there's 2 races for these guys, the Asian Talent Cup lot. Going into Sepang, we had 6 riders still able to win the championship. The top 6 were covered by 37 points. Now, in no particular order, these are the names, and make a note to these guys, lads and ladies, of course, because, these are the stars of tomorrow as far as world championships are going. Dennis Onchu, Akuru Noguchi, Ryusi Yamanaka, Azroy Anwar, Yuki Kuni, and Canon Chu. They were the 6 riders who had a chance of taking victory. Covered by 37 points, as I said. And it was Dennis Onchu who actually won the championship. His brother Can, his twin brother Can, took one of the race wins. Now, the reason I'm saying all this is one of Dorna's setup things. This is one of Dorna's little feeder classes, like the British Talent Cup will be. So what I'm doing with this could be the British Talent Cup. This could be where all the talent comes from in Britain. It could be something like this, something as competitive, as fast, as furious as this. Could be a really, really good proving ground, good feeder class, but more than that, it could be a real experience for riders. There's a lot of classes out there where, it's dominated, so a rider doesn't learn about racecraft and how to battle or whatnot, but these guys do because they are so close together. Interestingly, the selection for 2018 took place not so long ago, and I've got to say, it is a proper mix of Asian countries, and that sounds silly, but...
What, in the Asian Talent Cup?
I knew that. I knew someone was coming to that. But what I'm saying,
tell us then.
Not only is it the Japanese and the Thais and the Malaysians now, it's a lot of other nations getting involved. Now, when I find this document, I have a list on me anyway, but once I have found this particular document I'm looking for, it does tell me, there we are. Right, okay. So, these are the nations that, there was 86 applicants for this, 86 applicants.
86 nations?
No, 86. Since when has there been 86 nations in Asia? Come on.
I don't. Well, that's what I thought it was odd.
86 applicants from 14 nations, I think. And we're going to start now, although 2 of them I don't think are in Asia, but never mind, we'll skirt around that. So Malaysia, Indonesia and Thailand. Now, all of them 3 will have a Grand Prix soon. Malaysia has obviously got theirs, but Indonesia is coming on hopefully in the next 4 years, and Thailand joins us next season. Turkey and China, both of them countries have hosted a Grand Prix before. Bangladesh, Iran, the Philippines, Qatar, Sri Lanka, New Zealand and Australia. Obviously, Australia and Qatar both host a race too.
Australia in the Asian Cup?
I don't make the rules. I know, it's not in Asia. But never mind. So they were the nations: Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Turkey, China, Bangladesh, Iran, the Philippines, Qatar, Sri Lanka, New Zealand and Australia. They were the 12 countries where the applicants came from. What an incredible mix of international talent, really.
Should we just call it like the Over There Cup? Because it seems like any country that isn't in Europe is like over there, and has all been lumped into one as a Asian Talent Cup. Is Russia in it, for example?
No, Russia isn't in it. But that's probably because all their athletes have been banned. Anyway, I'm going to attempt, oh my good lord, I'm going to attempt to see if I can read out some of these names. These are you're going to enjoy this.
Okay, I'm going to press record so that we can play this back as a meme later.
Thank you. Mohammed Anwar Ibrahim bin Pawi. That's one of them. Afridza Siach Munananda. Mario Suryai Aji. Mohammed Aidananta Putra. Mohammed Agung Fakrul. Oh, this is good. Oh dear. Master Nitty Pong.
Hello to everybody tuned in live to the show from Asia on the various Facebook groups that I've already spammed this link to. Hello, you're very welcome. We are very, very sorry.
Oh, goodness
Should we move on?
No, hang on. Oh dear. Master Nittipong Sangsoang. Troy Jacob Alberto from the Philippines. Yusuf Mohammed Al-Darwish. Senna Donald Agius from Australia. Benjamin Daniel Baker. Bill Van Eerd, Toshiki Senda, Naoki Yamada, Sho Nishimura. Oh no. All right, these are the reserve ones now. So we've got the full-time ones. These are reserve ones.
Just like to apologise once again, folks.
Yeah.
If anything is...
Daniel El Fahim bin Haris Al Hadi from Malaysia. Warit Thong Nopakun from Thailand. Jaden Alexander Gunawadena. I don't know where Sri Lanka that is from. Shota Kyushi and Kazuki Ohori.
Yeah, good lad.
That's the best thing I've ever read in my life. If you would like a copy of the document, I will.
No, you're all right. I think
put it on the Motorsport Radio page and make out the names for what you want. Anyway,
I feel sorry for the commentators, to be honest, in that talent cup. To be honest, I do.
If you thought Fabio Di Gianantonio was a mouthful to get out, well, do the Age Talent Cup. You got a right tongue twister on there. So that's your Moto 3 and the Age Talent Cup discussion done. Moto 2 news. Thomas Luthi, as we know, crashed out big time in Malaysia in the qualifying session, ruined his championship chances. It was his last chance to go up to win a Moto 2 championship or an intermediate class championship because he goes up to Moto GP next year. He's going to be out of Valencia in the Moto 2 race, so he won't even sign off with a win, which to me almost confirms he will not be doing the MotoGP test the day after or the 2 days after that either. So Thomas Luthi looks like he's definitely out of contention now for his first ride on a MotoGP bike. And the second piece of news is Happy Shireen will join the new Sepang International Circuit Moto2 team. They expand operations next year. Happy Shireen will still be sponsored though by Petronas. That's all the Moto2 news. Just one bit of Moto3. The British Talent Cup, which is funded and set up by Dorna, they will not be on the grid next year. They will be running, I believe, Tom Budemos and Charlie Nesbitt.
Yes.
In the CEV Championships in 2017, and Tom Budemos will be in the Moto 3 Championship, excuse me, the World Moto 3 Championships in 2018 and 2019, and the British Talent Cup, British Talent Team will make a return to the series. So lots and lots of good news there regarding Britain. You're wondering where John McPhee's going. He's going to the CIP team. They jump ship from Mahindra because Mahindra drop out for next season.
But Dorna are still supporting him though, aren't they?
Absolutely. Dorna is still supporting him. They found him that ride. He will be riding a KTM, which as far as I'm concerned is the first time he's ever rode a KTM at world level in Moto3, because as far as I know, he's only ever been on a Honda or a Mahindra or a Peugeot. So good stuff that he's going to be on the grid for another year. Let's see what he can do on a KTM, John McPhee.
So I'm sure most people already knew about that. I certainly knew about it, so you should definitely have known. That should be interesting. Right, so before we get in and dive properly into MotoGP, just have a quick scan of the old social medias for any comments that might have flooded in, which we can properly read out. No offence, Steve. Well, just regarding actually most of the comments, to be honest, regarding the tonight's big question that we have on the show, which is regarding the 2018 World Superbike Championship calendar, the provisional calendar that's been released today. If you've already seen it, and we want to know which particular circuits do you think should or shouldn't be on that calendar, and will you be going to Donington? And if not, why not? Let us know right here on the Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio. My name is Lester. Kiko Alexander-Giles is also here, and we will have later in the show, in a few minutes' time, Glenn Irwin, the Northwest 200 winner and BSB race winner as well in 2017. He'll be here taking some of your questions, so get them to us right now if you have any questions at all for Glenn. Simple as that. It's at M-Sport Radio on Twitter. It's Motorsport Radio on Facebook. You can contact Kiko directly. How, Kiko?
You can do it at MotoGP Kiko on Twitter, and you can do it at Kiko Alexander Giles on Facebook. Probably the easiest way to get hold of me.
Fantastic stuff. And we haven't neglected to talk about MotoGP. We're just saving that bit, teasing you, I suppose, and we'll get onto it and talk about it right now. So, first of all, should we talk about the news in MotoGP, first of all?
Can do, Lester. Have you got some news for me, my friend?
Oh, there is no news at all?
No, as far as I know, not in the top class anyway. Obviously, we know all the seats are taken. So, no, not as far as I am aware. There is not a lot of news coming out of the MotoGP paddock. They've all been very quiet this week.
Okay, well, I've got some questions for you regarding MotoGP later that we might even ask Glenn about that. Maybe his thoughts on it, if you dare answer them.
Yes.
So yeah, no news other than it was a race win from Dovizioso. Your thoughts?
Yeah, again, Andrea Dovizioso really proving, to be fair, that he can win in dry weather or wet weather. That race was underwater to start with. It did dry out a little bit towards the end.
It's a bit dramatic. I mean, it was wet, but...
No. When they headed out pit lane, it was underwater, properly wet. It was proper wet, in other words. And, I don't think anyone really thought Andrea Dovizioso would go off with it, and he didn't go off with it. And I don't think anyone really expected Johann Zarco to keep at it either, but he did. But Dovi won, as you quite rightly said. It was the first Ducati 1-2, actually, factory team-wise, because Jorge Lorenzo was second. It's the first Ducati 1-2 since Austria last season. The first factory Ducati 1-2 since Austria last year, when Andrea Iannone won that race and Andrea Dovizioso was second. This time it was Dovi winning and Jorge Lorenzo in second place. Third place went to Johann Zarco. He was an early race leader for quite some time. Fourth place went to Marc Marquez. That result on its own means that Andrea Dovizioso winning and Marc Marquez finishing fourth. Dovi took 12 points off Marc Marquez. That means that the championship goes to Valencia, the big Premier Class Championship, arguably probably the most popular form of motorsport anywhere in the world this year, goes to the last round at Valencia, the Ricardo Tormo circuit. Dovizioso has to win and hope that Marc Marquez is no higher than 12th place. 12th or lower for Marquez means that he will not be champion, but only if Dovi wins. Marquez could crash and Dovi could finish second. Wouldn't matter. Marquez would still be champion. Dovi has to win. 25 points for a win, 20 for second. Dovi is 21 points behind.
In many ways, it was the result that we all wanted, really, in that we all like a big championship showdown at the end of the season, don't we? We don't really, as much as we like to see people performing at the top of their game and stuff, it's a bit boring when championships are wrapped up with like one or two races left to go, isn't it?
Absolutely, and not just that, Andrea Dovizioso is the underdog at the end of the day. No one expected him to be a championship contender this year. If you were to say...
Maybe he did.
Well, exactly, but if you was to say, there's going to be an Italian going into the last round of the championship with a chance to win, you just think it'd be Valentino Rossi. But it's absolutely not been the case this year. Andrea Dovizioso was second in Qatar at the start of the season. He was taken out at... Termas de Rio Hondo in Argentina, which I know you hate the circuit. Third, yeah.
Why do I hate it?
I don't know, you was on the phone to me earlier slating it off. Honestly, I thought I was talking to Margaret Thatcher, there was so much hate for Argentina. Anyway, third round of the year, Dovizioso didn't actually do a lot for me until Italy and Mugello. He then won it, won at Catalonia the next race. He was fifth in the race after that in Assen, and so on and so forth. Dovi's got the momentum going now, and okay, he's 21 points down. That's a massive gap to overall, but we've seen before that championship leaders crash at the last round at Valencia. Valentino Rossi did it in 2006. He threw away his chance of taking victory in 2006 at the championship. In 2012, Jorge Lorenzo crashed out after tangling with James Ellison at the Valencian circuit as well. But it didn't really matter because the championship had already been wrapped up. So, but what I'm saying is now it isn't wrapped up. One mistake from Marquez, Dovi could pounce. We do not necessarily believe it will be 100% dry. It could rain. It's rained there in the past. One mistake from Marquez, this championship will be thrown wide open. But, you know, the problem for Dovizioso is that Marquez could crash all day long. But if Dovi ain't winning, or if Dovi doesn't win the championship. Dovi has to absolutely win. Not necessarily by miles, but he has to win and hope that Marc Marquez does not get in the top 11. It's the only way he can win the championship. Danny Pedrosa goes well at Valencia. He's not going to allow Dovizioso to have it easily. Jorge Lorenzo will do his best to back up Andrea Dovizioso, as I believe he did in Sepang. He did once. He made the mistake and Dovi went through at Sepang. Lorenzo never went back at him, really. Valentino Rossi doesn't really like Valencia, so can he get involved? Or will he have a bit of a revenge for Marc Marquez after 2015? Will Valentino Rossi listen to his own advice that he set in 2015? And that was to not get in championship battles. There's a lot of variables, and we just know that Johann Zarco does not care about things like that. Johann Zarco is out there to win and to get podiums, and he will do anything to do that. So there's a lot of variables going into Valencia. I can't wait. If I'm going to be a betting man, you've got to bet on Marquez. However, now I've said that, it's probably going to be Andrea Dovizioso. Time will tell. We'll find out next Sunday.
So who would you actually bet on then? So if I gave you a tenner, which I won't, but let's say you had a tenner to bet on because you're a betting man, I think. Yes. Where would you put the money on?
Oh, Marc Marquez, because you've got to look. You know, Marquez, he was second in Valencia last year. He was second in 2015. He won in 2014. He was third in 2013. He's not been outside of the top three, effectively, since he's been at the track. He hasn't been. Is
this Marquez for the race win?
Marquez, not for the race win, but Marquez for a very strong result. You know, he came from the back of the field in 2012 in Valencia in Moto2 and won the race. The kid's got bags of talent. He loves Valencia. I just find it very hard to believe that Andrea Dovizioso will beat him and Marquez will not be somewhere in the top 3 or 4. You know, likewise, at the other end of the spectrum, Andrea Dovizioso not really gone well in Valencia. He's never won there in MotoGP. You know, Ducati haven't won there in MotoGP, I believe, since possibly Casey Stoner in 2007. If not, it would be Troy Bayliss in 2006 as a wild card. So, you know, I'm just going to check that now. No, it was definitely 2006 as a wild card then. For, it was 2008. 2008, Casey Stoner won at Ducati. What I'm saying is that's a different era. That's 800cc racing. You know, there's a massive gap between the machines then and the machines now, and the riders on their machines then and the riders on the machines now. Having said that, form this year suggests that Ducati, who don't go well at Catalunya, don't particularly go really well at Silverstone, don't massively go better at Misano, don't really go well at Aragon, don't go massively well at Mugello either. Well, they've gone well this year because Andrea Dovizioso has been winning there. So, are we going to see an upset? Anything can happen, but where I'm putting my £10 that you are going to give me, Leicester, got to be Marc Marquez, surely. Come on, where would you put your money?
Well, Marquez, obviously. I mean, I'm not an idiot.
Well.
While we were talking about Marc Marquez, I did see, I don't know exactly, I can't remember if I already put this out as maybe a caption competition on the Motorsport Radio website. If I didn't, then just because I forgot. But anyway, there was a picture that I found of Marquez, and it would have been very interesting to read people's reactions. And this does not entirely work well for radio, but I found the picture anyway, and I can only describe it as Marquez. And well, I'll tell you what, I'm not even going to describe what the picture is. I'm just going to say anybody who's seen the picture, anybody who can say, and I don't even know when this was taken. It might have been recently. I presume recently, but there's a Dorna cameraman as well who's pointing a camera at Marquez, and he's seemingly got his arse out, showing his recent wounds from whenever. I don't know, riders have so many different scrapes and whatnot, but I was going to put a little caption on Marc Marquez, just inviting your caption competition sort of thing. But again, that doesn't really work well for radio, so I can't really describe it. But
that's you tuning in on Facebook, of course, or Twitter, or wherever you're tuning in from, you can see that. So
exactly.
There you are.
I can't really describe it other than to say he's got his arse out, kind of, and he's flashing that about, it was just with people have started sending in messages already because they saw the picture. Maybe that was a bad idea for me to put that out there, considering I know just how partisan people can get regarding MotoGP riders. Let's say, especially Kiko should know anyway. He's got the Superbike Facebook group, which has how many members now?
Well, they're approaching 17,000 actually. So, however many of them are actually there to tune into British Superbikes, I have to ban a lot of people trying to sell me. What are they? Key rings and magnets. All sorts.
Don't knock key rings and magnets. Before we get on and talk about other stuff, anyway, there was one other question that I wanted to ask. We didn't go through all of the biggest results anyway. Top British rider finishing in MotoGP at Malaysia. Brad Smith down in 12th place. Sam Lowes was a DNF. Scott Redding finished in 13th, and Cal, picking up a point, finished in 15th place. And rider of the race, which handful of different names are you going to pick for us? Who do you think was the best one rider? Pick one.
No, the best one, are we going to say? Danilo Petrucci, 6th place.
Why?
Came from the back of the grid. Bike broke down, actually, on the sighting lap. Had to go run down pit lane. Got back on his spare bike. Set off on the back of the grid.
Was that was him pushing his thing off the thing? I vaguely remember it was. Yeah.
So no, I thought that was a very, very good. It was nice. It was nice to see someone. We expected Danilo Petrucci to be up there anyway, interfering. And while I've just mentioned that, got a little topic here. Interfering. Did we expect a few more riders to interfere between Marc Marquez and Andrea Dovizioso?
Was that a question or something? Or?
No, I think it is a question because, in the wet, it's always a nice level playing field.
What do you mean by interfere?
No, not by interfere, but in 2015, okay, we had Jorge Lorenzo and Valentino Rossi. Phillip Island's a perfect example. And you had riders packing out the places between them riders, such as Andrea Iannone, Marc Marquez, Dani Pedrosa. But we didn't really see it in Malaysia with Dovi and Marquez. You had Dovizioso's teammate, Jorge Lorenzo, and you had in 3rd place Johan Zarco. But that was it. They were the only two getting in between the leading two in the championship. I would have expected Danilo Petrucci to be up there had he not had a breakdown. I almost certainly expected Valentino Rossi to be a bit more competitive. That was an awful performance from both Yamahas. Maverick Vinales finishing a lowly 9th. Dani Pedrosa doesn't really like the wet weather anyway, but started from pole position and finished 5th. Didn't interfere. We didn't really expect him to anyway because obviously his teammates going for the championship. Cal Crutchlow expected a bit of a better result from him. 15th place is by no means where he belongs, way down there. So he's got a lot of work to do. Although, maybe someone like Aleix Espargaro, had he been fit to ride, I think he could have got involved. Bit disappointed with Andrea Iannone. Thought he could have done something better. He finished 17th in the end. And likewise for his teammate Alex Rins, who was disqualified, actually, from the Malaysian Grand Prix. Ooh. So I'm not sure why that is. I believe maybe he crashed and brought some debris back on. But But either way, I just expected a few more riders to take a few more points off or get in the way of either Dovizioso or Marc Marquez. KTM's started to come good with Paul Espargaro. He's not been out of the top 11 now since the British Grand Prix. Bradley Smith, as you quite correctly said, was top Brit in 12th place. Fantastic ride from Bradley Smith again. 2-point scoring finishes on the bounce. First time that's happened since Jerez and Le Mans earlier this season. In fact, had he got another top 10 like he did in Australia, that would have been the first back-to-back top 10 he's had since, I think, it would have been the first 2 races of 2016 on a Tech 3 Yamaha. So, lots of things going on there. But, yeah, all in all, this championship's not quite done yet, but it's not far from being done.
Okay. Well, maybe perhaps the reason why, or the answer to your question, why didn't more riders get involved or interfere, is maybe because in the back of their minds, even though I'm sure everybody would say, yeah, we don't care about what's going on out front, but they kind of do. I mean, you don't want to be the guy who's in like 10th place or something, or in 5th, have no chance of winning the race, but then take out the championship leader and everyone hate you and kill you and stuff. Do you? So it kind of, I think it is kind of in the back of people's minds.
Yeah, you don't want to make yourself the most unpopular rider in the paddock, which is obviously not what is really ideal for you or for your team. You don't want to bring hatred towards your team either. But at the end of it, I don't buy none of that, because you also have personal sponsors. Now, I'm not saying no one tried out there. I'm not saying no one let the front four get away, but, I don't believe they chose not to either. I just don't think anyone really had the pace. I'm surprised at that. But then again, having said that, and it been dry, I think we would have seen a different story. Like I said at the start of this little topic, where there is a great leveller. And dry weather, we had a bit more of a pattern. Danny Pedrosa definitely looked a lot better. Dovizioso looked like he had something. Valentino Rossi looked absolutely on it all weekend. Johan Zarco looked up there in wet or dry. I'm not sure whether Jorge Lorenzo would have been as competitive. But, this is what we've got to deal with going into the last round of the season. Could we wet again? Could we see, like I say, more riders get involved at a really high pressure point? This is by far the most important point Ducati, as a manufacturer, have had probably since Casey Stoner left. This is the crunch time. Since Japan 2007, there has not been a more important race in Ducati's history in Grand Prix than this one coming up.
I kind of get the feeling, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just my my way of wanting drama and controversy and that type of thing. But I get the feeling that either one of two scenarios will play out, similar to what happened in Moto 2, in that it will all be over before the race has even begun, or the almost unthinkable will probably happen, and Marquez will not score, crash out, whatever, and Dovi will win.
Well, what did we say? The gap was 33 points going into Malaysia. We have seen that in 2 races in British Superbikes, 33 points doesn't mean anything, because it can go. Now, one mechanical issue for Marc Marquez, we're talking about mistakes for Marc Marquez. It could take a mechanical issue. He could end up in someone else's accident.
Yeah.
It could just be collateral damage in someone tucking the front at turn 2 early on. Just do not know.
I think either one of those scenarios would have me suitably satisfied and screaming at the TV.
Well, there's 40 minutes racing. That's all that's left this season. And it's in 40 minutes. That's a cruel way to find out whether you're champion or not.
Or maybe a last lap lunge down the inside on the last lap, last turn, similar to what Lewis Hamilton did to win his first championship 10 years ago, maybe in Formula 1.
10 years ago today.
Okay. Was it really?
Bang on the date, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, 10 years ago.
Okay, fair enough.
See, guys, I do know a little bit about Formula One.
Okay.
Formula One.
But yeah, anyway, something like that could happen, where maybe, we saw it at the last, sorry to keep mentioning F1, but the two championship rivals were suddenly at the back of the pack, having tangled and touched. That could happen. One of them could sprint off. Let's say Dovizioso manages to weave through the traffic masterfully and get to the front. He's in second, come into the last lap or whatever. Meanwhile, Marquez is still struggling with a duff bike or whatever. He's still out of the points and potentially going to lose it. And just imagine that on the last corner of the last lap when Dovizioso just lunges literally all or nothing, win it or bin it scenario to take it on. That would be good. I would like that. Please do that.
Yeah, it would be good. It would be good. I'll tell you what else would be good.
Oh, yeah.
Getting a Northwest 200 winner and a British Superbike race winner on the show. That'd be really good.
That would be good. Funny you should say that, Kiko, because we have just that. Glenn Irwin, the Northwest 200 winner and BSB star and race winner this year, will be on the Superbike show here on Motorsport Radio in just a couple of minutes' time. So we'll go and pull him away from his online game of FIFA and get him on the show. He's here next.
Motorsport Radio. The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
And we are live here on Motorsport Radio. My name is Lester. Thank you very much for tuning in. Kiko Alexander-Giles is otherwise busy. He's also here, actually. Yeah, there he is. And also joining us on the phone, and we're so delighted that he is here. Please welcome Glenn Irwin. Hello, Glenn.
How you doing? How are you? Thanks for having me on the show.
No problem. You're more than welcome to be here on the show. You're here live on Motorsport Radio. I think you're making your Motorsport Radio debut, so welcome again for that. And Kiko, as ever, has a whole bag of questions for you, Glenn. So I hope you're prepared for this.
Yeah, I'm ready. Get far ahead. Get them out there.
Right then, we'll start, obviously, 2017. What a year it's been for you. Started off really well. We kind of saw the real Glenn Irwin come out in the first couple of rounds. Really, really good first 2 or 3 rounds, obviously. So how's your season been so far? Now you look back on it, now it's all done. 2017, the highlights of it, what would you class as they? What have they been?
I think the highlights are quite easy to pick, as they all jump out. We all race motorbikes to win, and I got my first British Superbike win at Silverstone, and I won the Northwest 200, and I also won the Sunflower Trophy with we had some good opposition at that. So, we also had a number of podiums prior to the injury as well in British Superbikes. So, we've still got Macau to go as well. So hopefully that can be another victory in another arena as well.
Absolutely, like you just said, what was it like to win your first British Superbike race? Because your injuries, will come on to them a little bit later, but your injuries this year have been really difficult. So to come back and to prove that you still have it, that's got to feel really special. And to do it in front of, well, okay, you weren't going to be in the showdown, but to prove to people that you could have done it anyway, you could have been in the showdown had you not had that injury, it's got to feel very, very good for you.
Yeah, it was a really special feeling. I think no matter what the circumstances for anybody to win their first British Superbike race is, we all like I said, we all race to win, and when you get that winning feeling, is that's the ultimate buzz from racing. For me, it's not the thrill of riding a motorbike. That's not what I'm about. It's winning and getting that feeling at such a high level was. It was fantastic, and if I look back on it, considering where I came from injury-wise this year, it really is special that we done that. My injury was a career-ending injury, but I wouldn't take it as that. We probably defied doctors and whatnot, and seen the right people and done the right things, and I guess with an attitude that I wouldn't be beat. helped me get to where I got with that win. But I'm not the kind of person that rests in that. I don't want to say to people 20 years down the line when I'm retired that I've won a British Superbike race one day. I want to go on and win championships, and I've seen the progress I've made from my injury. And, more so in the last week. I'm still training because we've got Mackay in 2 weeks' time, and the strength in the gym has really come on. And we're lifting up weights that are respectable to lift in the gym rather than having some little kids looking at you while you're lifting a 2 kilogram shoulder press. But thankfully we've moved on from that, and we've hopefully we'll have a exciting career ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Going into race one at Silverstone, did you believe that you could win it, or was you a bit surprised when you did win it?
I totally believed they could win it, and I think that's always important in any form of sport, or any form of whatever you do in life that you got to be successful at. I was on the grid, conditions were quite in between, very dry in areas, and not so much dampness. It was either extremely wet or extremely dry. So my theory was that the intermediate tyre or anything other than a wet, you would lose far too much time in the very wet parts of the track to cancel out the guys that are running full wets. And I didn't think that the intermediate tyre would yes, it would be quicker at the end of the race, but what I'm trying to say is it wouldn't be quick enough to pull back what you would lose when the track was very wet at the beginning. So some people were on the grid and I think walked off the grid. Some people also had some people had dry tank. Sylvan had full dry front and rear on, and I remember looking thinking, right, well, he's not going to feature and he's not going to feature. I picked out Josh, Hopkins, myself and Jake, and that was the 4 guys in and around the front 2 rows where we were that had the full wet combination, and that was going to be the race for the win. And yeah, it's a long enough race around there. Like I said, there's a lot of dryness, so the wet tyres could chew up easily, but I think that's how we won it. We didn't try to lead the race at the beginning, as you do in a dry race, and you manage your tyre. And I started to catch the guys without really trying to catch them as such. And yeah, it's weird. It's like a story that you don't know the ending of, but you kind of know where it's going.
Yeah. How's your recovery been from injuries? Just talk to us a bit more. As you said, it could have been a career ender. Why is that? What was the injury, first of all?
It sounds simple enough, when you first say to people, I dislocated my shoulder or I dislocated my elbow, but I dislocated them both. I broke my elbow, I broke my shoulder in 2 places, but it's more all the other bits of damage that we've done. We got a lot of nerve damage. I still have it from my shoulder traveling down my arm. Have a lot of ligament damage and things, so that's where my weakness has been. It's only now that the strength is beginning to come back, but if you're to tense your bicep, you can feel it, the bicep, and that's tense or your tricep. Whereas with me, there's no connection from my brain to my bicep. It's really weird. I certainly wouldn't want to be showing off my guns, put it like that. I find it hard to even do that, if I'm being honest. But in terms of general strength, it is coming back, on a whole, and on the bike it's came back enough to where I don't believe it's affecting me. I think my style's still a little bit, I'm not hanging off the bike to the left hand side as much because I am weaker when I'm in that position, but it's really making great progress, and we'll be 100% fine for 2018.
Great to hear that you will be back, of course. But to go back to another highlight of 2017, probably one of my favourites across all categories of motorcycle racing this year, the Northwest 200. What was that like to win that race in probably what was the best Northwest 200 I think we've ever seen in the last 25 years?
Yeah, it was awesome. Like I said at the track, straight after the race, my memories are growing up as a child and going to watch my dad and, you know, Jim Moody and Ian Duffus, David Jeffries, McGuinness, Michael Rudder, Colin Ramsey, loads of different riders. And it's, that being that kid, you know, running about the golf course on the BMX and just playing for a full week solid was always like a special memory. So to go there and to win that, and you know, it wasn't just that, you know, we had a fantastic race and a real nail biter, if you want to call it that. But the support I had trackside was phenomenal, and it's something that I really appreciate. I seen the guys, like, you know, and ladies and whatnot going crazy on the first lap, and I kind of thought, flip, the crowd they're really into the Superbike race. This is pretty cool. And it's only really when I got to like lap 2, lap 3 that the crowd was still going absolutely mental. I realised they were cheering for me, and that's such a special feeling. And you know, to anyone that did cheer me on that day, thank you very much. It probably gave me that extra little bit of motivation to win that race, and yeah, we won it. To be fair, I always did feel in control. You know, Hutchie and Alistair pushed me hard. I actually spoke about that the other day. We were talking about Hutchie and what he's been through, and you know, you got to give him a lot of respect, because I'm racing Superbikes week in, week out, and Alistair's had a very strong short circuit career in recent years, and to be fair, Ian has too, but for him to be mixing it, you know, with us, especially after all his injuries, I thought was a real credit to him, and it's been a real shame of how it went for him in the months to come as well. So he'll be back.
He will, yeah. Just talk us through the last half a lap of the final lap of the Northwest 200. You know, you was leading into Metropole, you was beaten into Church. Everyone thought Alistair Seeley had it wrapped up because he's so good along the coast road. And then you come along and you beat him down into the chicane and hold it. I mean, what an experience. And the crowd as well, like you say. We could hear him over the bike from the telly, so it must have been incredible.
Yeah, it was cool. The last half a lap, I obviously led at Coleraine, which is after, you know, the big long straight. So I thought, right, we're still in the lead. I'm sure somebody's going to swing past me somewhere here. I was leading back to Portrush, and it's real funny. There was 2 guys sitting on a gate in the field, and every lap I was looking at them about 160 miles an hour, and like giving them like a stare, you know, to show that I'm having a lot of fun here too. And on the last lap, I actually forgot to look at them. It's how it's mad how, you know, focused that you become when it really matters. So yeah, that's one of my memories from the last lap, that after I went past that I forgot. But coming down to Portrush with the lead, and I felt really strong on the coast road, and I could see a back marker in the distance as we were coming down towards Metropole. I was beginning to think, no, please, I'm going to catch you at the wrong place. And I'm not the kind of person that would do, you know, anything stupid on anybody on the road race, and obviously back markers included. So I'm seeing this guy and I'm thinking, oh, no, what am I going to have to do here? And yeah, I hesitated quite a lot, and to finally pick that I would go round him, but Alistair was very committed.
Yeah, Alistair really wanted it, but he didn't get it, did he? He got it halfway, and you know, you followed him all the way along. But when you came across the line and the crowd went mental, and then you saw your brother run on as well, Andy ran on at the start finish line, how special was that moment? The moment that you did take the win, you did win it, and then you saw your brother as well. It was almost like fairy tales, dreams had come true.
Oh dear! You know what? I think he is actually. He's popped off the line. I think he's dropped off. Yeah, I think he's high-sided off the old phone. That's a shame. We'll try and get him back for you. That is what I'm literally trying to do now. Trying to get him back on the old blower. That was a good eloquent question that you had prepared. Maybe put that one under your hat and ask him again when we get him back in a moment, Kiko. But yeah, fantastic insight so far from Glenn. It's kind of amazing as well just to hear his thoughts, like you asked him, coming into that final part of the Northwest 200, and it was nice to hear him in his own words.
It really is, and people seem to forget a little bit that the Northwest 200, it's the pinnacle of Northern Irish road racing. People, for me, I'm going to get shot for saying this, but I do prefer it over the Isle of Man to an extent, because I like the idea of pack racing, and it can go down on the road head to head. There's one last chance, and obviously you're never going to get pack racing at the TT. That'd be ludicrous. But
before you go and insult all the rest of the other TT people who have incidentally just shared this link to this show on, so hello to everybody from TT groups all over Facebook. Hello. Anyway, so I'm delighted to say that actually we have got Glenn back on the line, if by magic. No idea what happened, Glenn.
You guys mustn't be paying your internet bill.
Something like that. I blame Kiko, to be honest. He's probably done something. I don't know. But welcome back on the show. And Kiko had a really long question for you, and then you'd vanished. So yeah.
I think we had got to. I was sort of talking about that last bit of the Northwest, but
yeah, you was at Church Corner, and Alistair Seeley had just got past you. You both just got back mark. I'll get there in a moment. And what happened after that? Tell us what happened after that when you was chasing Alistair Seeley along the coast road.
Yeah, so fair play to Alison. He capitalised on the back marker, and he actually done something similar to William Dunlop, if you remember, a few years ago, but probably a little bit of a harder move. But he took the lead, and I guess confidence is a key thing in racing. And I remember when he took the lead, obviously I didn't want to lose the lead, but I remember thinking, like, whoa, sounds really arrogant to say it, and I don't mean it in this way, but I was like, are you stupid? Like, I felt so good on the coast road, and I'd been really strong in the Juniper chicane that as soon as he took the lead there, he was quite strong under the railway bridge. It's quite bumpy there, and it's part of the track where I don't like to take much of a risk, and he just took a few bike lengths. But when I say I felt in control of the whole race, it's the one corner where I did go harder than usual is Black Hill in the last lap. It was really important to get a good run out, and that we did. I got the good slipstream, and basically got beside Alistair and just kind of moved him over to the left-hand side of the road where it was a bit bumpier so that he couldn't retaliate. And it was I led into Juniper chicane, and if you lose the race after that, there's something wrong with you. So I led into Juniper, and the rest is history. As I say, we're at the last couple hundred yards and up around the last corner, and it was a really, really, really special feeling. I myself could hear the crowd, and I was on a motorbike that was still revving. So, phenomenal feeling. I love watching it back still. It gives me great, great, great memories. And the celebrations after were all, in accordance with such a great race, and with a couple of very respected riders, and with riders with many victories between them.
Absolutely, you become a select group. A part of a select group that have won the big one at the Northwest 200, which is, not many people can say they've done that. But one point of that last lap that we haven't mentioned is when you cross the line. First of all, how did it feel to listen to the crowd when obviously you kind of not chilled out, but you've got you've took a bit of a second or two to think about it, and all the crowd are going mental. And then, as you're doing a burnout, your brother runs on, Andy runs on. How did that feel? I mean, watching that on telly was like, this can't be happening, surely.
Yeah, it was class. We're a really, really close family, and we support each other as much as you can. And I'm doing this burnout, and I'm totally probably unaware of what's going on around me. Other than I've just won the Northwest Championship Superbike race, and doing this mad burnout, and then Andy and Charlie King appear. Charlie actually used to race Superstock 600 in England, and he actually came to Mackay with me last year and helped out a little bit there, just as a bit of a wingman. And the two of them basically appear through the smoke, and they're like fist pumping, and I can see the emotion and the happiness in them. And I'm like looking back through the helmet, like I'm not going to swear on the radio, but it was absolutely awesome. It was, it was an incredible feeling, and so good to have my brother there with me. There, I was able to chuck my PBM Ducati at him while I went through some bits of memorabilia into the crowd. So
I seem to remember you struggling to get your glove chucked over the fence. You had a few goes at it, didn't you? In the end, you had 3 or 4 attempts.
Yeah, I probably took 3 or 4 good attempts to get the glove over. And it's funny, but my trainer was standing there, and he's like, "Did you not see me? You could have just gave me the glove." I couldn't have told you who was standing there. I was on cloud 9, and still am when I think about it, and hopefully we get that memory again.
Well, you'll be back there next year, and you'll be with Paul Bird Motorsport next year. One question we've had in already from Simon Horse says, what made you stay with Paul Bird Motorsport for a 3rd consecutive season?
I've never rid for anyone for more than 2 years, so I believe continuity is an important thing, and in any form of racing, especially when it's the most successful team in British Superbikes. There's a number of reasons why I stayed. Obviously, I did have a lot of interest from other teams, which just as a person, that's nice. I didn't use it as a leverage or, X is offering me this, can you give me that? That's not my game. I'm quite straight up. I speak my mind. So does Paul, and it's quite funny. We actually get on quite well. Sometimes you think, 2 people with that kind of mindset, how does it work? But it does. But to answer your question, it's a factory Ducati team. It's a team that I believe this year has really, really understood me a lot more. And, my side of the garage is knows how to fire me up now, and what works for Glenn, and I believe I'm getting that from them. So, results-wise, everything was going really, really good until our injury, which probably ruined, a minimum showdown. And we came back, and we did have a tough time, and I'll be the first to admit it. The injury probably didn't hold me back as much in the later rounds as I was myself. I just wasn't in a great place, to be truthfully honest. I took the whole thing quite bad, how you could go from such a high to, suddenly like a rock bottom in terms of where I was in myself. And we dug deep and salvaged a 7-foot bronze and went a little bit stronger at the Sunflower with the win there. So the team has stuck by me, that's one thing for sure. But I also believe I've showed enough to earn that 3rd year, and it's nice that Paul's rewarded me with that. That's when you have a team that stand by you when you're lying, at home, kind of rock bottom, your season ruined with an injury that was certainly not my fault and nor the team's. To have that bit of loyalty coming back means a lot, and I intend to repay that. So yeah.
What was it like to be part of the Paul Bird Motorsport team when Shane Byrne kind of turned it all around in the last race of the day, or the last weekend of the year, when he took that British Superbike victory? It's like, since you've come in, they've won 2 championships, but it's not been you who's winning them, so it's got to be annoying for you. But what does it feel to be part of the winning team in British Superbikes?
Yeah, look, I'm lucky I have a good relationship with Shaky. Obviously, I would prefer to be the guy winning the championship, but that day will come. I have no doubt about that, and it would be nice to be doing it under the Paul Bird banner. But yeah, obviously it was really nice. It makes a great vibe in the team, and it was probably helped as well. For me, if I had rubbish results and Shaky won it, it wouldn't have been cool. But we woke up a little bit at that last round. Like I said, we had a really strong 7th in race 2, and caught the likes of Brooksy and O'Halloran basically the whole second half of the race, and finished right behind Hickman at the line. So yeah, it was nice to be part of it, considering I had a more positive weekend after where we had been. So the boss man was happy, and Shaky was happy. They all stayed on the few days on the Sunday night, and I did say if he won the championship, I would do the same. But we had that sunflower the following week, and yeah, we packed up the motorhome and drove to Northampton and booked ourselves a hotel for the night and chilled out with myself and my missus and my son Freddie.
Oh, so, great to hear. So it's a good end to the BSB season, but of course that's not the last race on your agenda. You said the Sunflower, but you've also got the Macau GP coming up. You went well there, very well there last season. What can we expect from you in Macau this season?
I always say road racing's a funny one. Like you got to go out and practice, and you gotta get into it. You got to feel it, because it's not like British Superbikes or track racing where you can go out and force something to happen, because what can happen if you force something in road racing is obviously very, very not good. Would be one way of putting it. So I always say you got to go there, you got to suss it out, see how it's feeling, go and do qualifying, and if you're thereabouts, then for sure have a crack at winning it. Do I want to win it? Yes, certainly. Like I said, if I could win a Northwest, a Sunflower, a British Superbike race, and a Macau in the 1 year, it would mean I've won basically everything that I've entered in terms of a race of each of them. So that's certainly on my to-do list. I know the team want to win it, and so do I. So yeah, we've got really tough opposition there, but do I believe I can win it? I do.
Will we see Glenn Irwin and Paul Bird Motorsport do any wild cards next year in World Superbikes at Donington Park, maybe?
I don't think so. I think the team already have a lot of commitment. When you add in the lads doing the Northwest, and then also travelling to Sunflower and all our pre-season testing in Spain, and every round, like the boys have a life outside of racing as well as the us riders, and it's nice to have a weekend off here and there. Would I love the opportunity to do Donington? For sure. Our bikes aren't the same in terms of electronics, but Jake done it this year, and before Jake hit form as well is when he done it and proved quite competitive. Like, I do believe we could go and we could finish in the top 10 as it is, but it's that day will come, and that day will come when hopefully we're in that arena week in, week out.
Absolutely. Obviously, that's got to be the end goal. What about, obviously, we've mentioned that you're going to the Macau and you've been at the Northwestern one. What about the Isle of Man TT? Is that on your agenda in the near future? Maybe next year or the year after?
You would not believe the amount of times I get asked this, but that's it.
I'm sure I've asked you before.
you have indeed, but I had a good. We sat on an interview the other day with Stephen Davidson, who's the well-known road racing photographer journalist from Northern Ireland. And it was for the Motorcycle News, like a Macau preview, and he said, the one thing that I like about you, it's like you've dipped your toe in, you've done the Ulster Grand Prix, you've nearly won it your first time, you've won the Northwest Superbike the first time in that, you nearly won Macau last year, but everyone else that does these, they'll just think about they're building for the TT, and you don't even mention it. I love the TT personally. I think it's a great spectacle. I really enjoy going over every year. Paul Phillips and his team they're very good to me. They always sort us out, with a number of passes for the guys that are on the boat trip. We take a little rib boat over. They're actually sponsors of mine. The Land Rover Centre, BLRC. So we go over with them every year, and we get well looked after. And like I said, it's a great spectacle. And I would love to one day say that I've won one. Just to say it. Do I believe I could win one? Certainly, in no arrogant way. Of the lads that I've beat on circuits and roads, and it's just another circuit, road race, another road circuit. But I'd also love to get to the end of my career and to say that I resisted it, and I never done it, because it's having family now changes a lot of things for me. And like, even when I do the Northwest, even like Macau, I speak very, very straight up. But like at the minute, I'm nervous for Macau because it's insanely dangerous what we do there, and to be honest, a lot of riders maybe think it's worse than the TT, and it probably is in some ways. And it's not as long and mentally enduring, but you kind of don't know what's happening for the next 2-3 weeks, if you get me. Once you get that over and done with, there's no like insanely dangerous activity that you're about to do. And if you're to add in another race like that, being the TT and being 2 weeks long, it's another 2 weeks of every year that just makes it harder to get to the end of the year. And that's I'm happy just keeping that little risk kind of as limited as it can be.
Absolutely. I mean, the Ironman as well is a very different kind of race. You know, you're on your own. You're not in a pack like the Northwest. So do you think you'd be able to adapt straight away to the Ironman TT, or do you think it would just be quite a difficult thing to overcome, and that's racing on your own to time kind of thing?
Look, I think we all love racing, certainly, but I think there, like, you know, we say you're on your own, but you know, I wouldn't be going and starting off at number one, or I think in your first year, the highest you can start off would be 21, depending on your speed. So very quickly, these 10-second gaps, you know, dwindle down, and you do end up on the road with a lot of different guys. So I don't think that's too much of a thing. I think you know, it is a bit different that it's not. Your opponent isn't necessarily right beside you on the track. You know, you're gauging where he is on a pit board. But I don't think that, you know, changes for me, it doesn't make it better or worse. You know, I hold the event in the highest regard. But I also hold the Northwest and Ulster Grand Prix on equally high, because I believe the guys that are winning them races sometimes just don't get the same credit as the TT. And you know, I know some people think maybe it's the ultimate test of TT, and for sure it is. But so's going head to head in a pack at the Northwest, and the racing we're seeing at the Ulster Grand Prix this year was fantastic. You know, Dean Harrison done a really good job to win, and you know, pulled a very hard move on Dan Ning, but a hard but fair move. And that is on a public road as well. So, you know, I think any road racing deserves the maximum respect, and none of it has more of an appeal than any version of it. You know, it all appeals to me. Everyone that competes deserves to be respected for it. But yeah, time trial racing is what it is. It's another form of racing.
Exactly. I mean, I speak to a few people, and before it would have been the Northwest 200 is the warm-up event to the Ironman TT, but it is becoming its own kind of event now. It's becoming a real crowd pleaser, which is really good. Final question. I'm going to put it to you. I haven't actually got it planned, but we've spoke about both of them. Your British Superbike, your first PSP win, and your first Northwest 200 win. Which one of them was a more special moment for you?
I'm going to answer you very awkward. I could answer you quick and pick one, but I've kind of said this a few times this year. When I won the Northwest, which I'd done before the Superbike race, it was like a great, it was like a sense of achievement, if you want to put it like that, like a bucket list goal, where it was like, I've done that, because when you've done that, you can't go no higher, because you've done it. Whereas when I won a British Superbike race, and when I've had good rides and seconds and thirds in BSB, to me it's like satisfaction, where right, we've done this now we can step it up a gear. Because winning the Northwest, it's not a championship. You've done it, you've won it. Whereas winning the BSB, there's 26 races in 1 year, and it gives you that belief that you can do that more and more. So in terms of satisfaction, the BSB for sure, because that's the ultimate test for me. You know, the riders we're racing against are the top drawer, and to win against them is a real step in your career. But to win the Northwest is like what you dream of as a kid. So two very different feelings. but two feelings that you couldn't get sick of, put it like that.
Yeah, they're both the winning feeling. Just got one more question for you. It's not from me. Excuse me. It's from Simon Hall. Have Ducati got any new parts for you in 2018 that you know of now?
Well, not obviously the new Superbike will come out in 19, so development will slow down on our bike. Some people might be worried about that for next year. Will we fall behind? But certainly not. Our guys are already on the ball. We have swinging arms from Ducati that have been developed constantly, and we can also now go down our own route and maybe get swinging arms developed outside of that by our own people, and we could measure what they've done and build swinging arms in between. So yeah, we can basically further develop a further developed part as such. We've a couple of chassis components that arrived just through the year, and then we can maybe try to source an in between of that. We can get a little bit more power still. There's an exhaust. There's loads of things can still be done. It will slow down in the factory, but it won't stop. So yeah, we'll be fine. Our bike will be good enough, certainly.
That's really good to hear. Obviously, you'll be back with Shaky next year, and you'll be back with the Paul Bird team next year. But I'm just going to check if there's been any more questions come in. I do not think there has been. It's been quite quiet as far as questions have gone tonight. No, that's it. So, Glenn, I'm going to let you get off. I think you was playing FIFA earlier, so I'll let you go back onto that.
I've done the FIFA. I'm packing for we've actually got the end of season party this weekend with the championship winning party. So we're on a flight over tomorrow, and we'll head up. I'll catch up with the boss man tomorrow, and then we'll let the hair down on Saturday night, as I say. But yeah, just for everyone listening as well, thanks for tuning in, and if any of my sponsors are listening as well, and I did actually text a few. I texted Eddie from the Hill Trust, if he's listening, just a big thank you for everything he's done. And yeah, if anyone wants to go on and read the hill-trust.org, it's a great charity that are set up and they help me. So yeah, anybody else that's listening in, thank you very much for your help. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Glenn Irwin there. What a pleasure to talk to the Northwest 200 winner. Thank you.
Amazing stuff. And yeah, thank you as well, Glenn, for coming on. And what a nice guy Kiko he is, isn't he? He's just, you could tell from that. I mean, I not yet ever had the chance to sort of interview him face to face at BSB or anyone else. But you can just tell from listening to him. It's just a totally, and you can really get the enthusiasm that he still has, amazingly so. And you can, for the people who have a bit of a hard time understanding the mindset, or let's say craziness of these top riders who have seemingly the worst, most disgusting looking crashes on a Sunday, and then in some riders' cases it only takes them like a week or so to get back on the bike, and they're flying around Macau or doing the Northwest 200 or whatever, whereas someone like myself that'd be me out of action. I'd be retired. Game over for me. You just can't be doing with any sort of pain or injury or anything like that. You can still tell his enthusiasm, despite still clearly, as he admitted himself, still he's got work to do. He's still kind of suffering, if that's the wrong word, from his ongoing things that he's had this year, and he's looking forward already to going back to Macau. He's already kind of planning in his head about maybe doing the TT, although I noticed though when you asked him, he didn't specifically say that he was doing the TT in 2018, so maybe it's 2019, whenever he's ready. There's no big rush.
He did say that he does want to get onto World Superbikes, which leads us on to our final topic.
Yes, we will get on to the big topic about and and answer some of the big questions on Motorsport Radio regarding the 2018 World Superbike calendar. Which tracks will or should be on it? Which tracks do you think shouldn't be on it? And why? Let us know. This is the Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Now. This is Motorsport Radio. Join the conversation and have your say on motorsport-radio.com. Motorsport Radio. The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.
Live every single week, usually on a Thursday or Wednesday-ish, depending on various things. My name is Lester, this is the Superbike Show, this is Motorsport Radio. Welcome. If you've just found us for the first time ever, because Glenn's been on, and Kiko's about to die, as you can hear in the background, then you're more than welcome to stick around and join us for some other shows that we have as well. We have a live show on this coming Monday, I think, Monday Motorsport. Yes, amazing how we come up with these names. Superbikes and shows about motorsport on a Monday, but that's what it is. Yeah, we'll have another show about cars mostly, and yeah, we talk about all sorts of things. Anything that's basically good here on Motorsport Radio. That is kind of the ethos, if that's not too big a word to use. We talk about everything and anything, and we will certainly continue our quest to get the biggest names in cars and bike racing on the show on Motorsport Radio. Thank you once again to Glenn for actually coming on and peeling himself away from FIFA for a good half hour. And thank you as well to Kiko for actually getting him on as well. Well done. For you.
He's great to interview. Glenn is a real good lad, off track and on track, I've got to say.
Yeah, definitely is. And head to our website, motorsport.radio, where we will, instead of perhaps, I know that some people don't kind of enjoy listening to a full 2-hour chunk of radio. Some people just literally, believe it or not, Kiko, some people actually just want to tune in and listen to Glenn Owen. I know.
That's unbelievable.
Unbelievable, Jeff. But you can do that. As soon as I've edited it and republished it, we will publish the Glenn Irwin interview as a single thing, rather than listening to a full hour of Kiko talk about nonsense about other stuff.
Black pudding.
And so yeah, motorsport.radio, the place to go for generally all the stuff. We also do podcasts as well, believe it or not. I know. So yeah, motorsport.radio. Right, now, so on to the 2018 World Superbike calendar, which has been provisionally released today, or it's been released today, and it is provisional, subject to one of the tracks being homologated, ratified by some top men, basically. Yeah, to put it simply. So would you like to know the actual calendar? And, well, we start off, Kiko, at Phillip Island, and then we go to Thailand, then to Spain. Is there, I think it's like 13 rounds in total. I should put numbers next to my list that I've got.
We do. Yeah.
Here, a new track as well, not the one that you'd usually associate with Argentina. Instead, we're going to a new track, which Kiko's going to masterfully pronounce.
El Viacum. In this, I think it's in the north of the country, but yeah, as you quite rightly say, we start in Australia, traditional starting point for the World Superbikes now. Going on to Thailand 4 weeks later, then in Spain 2 weeks after that, and directly after that we go to Assen in Holland. Then it's Imola, Donington Park, Autodrome Brno, which makes a return for the first time since 2012. We then head to Laguna Seca to go stateside, come back to Europe and Misano. Then we have 10 weeks off, and then we're back in Portugal, a 10-week summer holiday. Not even the House of Commons have 10 weeks off. We then go to France and Magny-Cours.
What's that got to do with anything?
Argentina, the El Viacum circuit, which is still being built, I believe, and is subject to homologation. And Qatar, which makes the traditional end to a season. 13 rounds, 26 races, 5 continents, but of course, only one winner.
Okay. So tonight's big question on the show, which was put together by Kiko, is which circuits should or should not be on that list, or that we've just read out? Do you think that it's right that Elvilquim in Argentina should be there? Should it be, in fact, going back to the Ricardo Tormo thingy, the usual place where everyone usually goes to Argentina, and Donington Park, 25th to the 27th of May? Will you be going? We know a lot of people didn't go this year. Are you deciding to maybe not go? If not, why not? If you are, then why? Tell us. Let us know and get in touch, because we will read out your messages live on the Superbike show. So, Kiko, your initial thoughts on that?
My initial thoughts on that, and I hate to be negative, I'll start off on a positive. Yeah. I'm really glad that there's new circuits coming in. I'm glad Brno's come back. Brno's a brilliant circuit.
Why do you like Brno?
It's a circuit, really, where, a lot of corners lead into the other, and there's not really you can pass on the ride, but you can't necessarily brake him. It's got wonderful banking in the middle section, bit of like an amphitheatre kind of setting. Really good for bike racing. It's a brilliant track, full of really fast, I won't call them chicanes, they're more S's. Provides great racing, and, of course, it's great to have a Czech round, because it first came on the calendar in 1996, which Troy Corsa won both races. It came back in 2005, and then the last time it was on the calendar was 2012. So I just think it's time that we come back to a world-class facility. Of course, it's been really modernised over the last couple of seasons. I said I don't want to be negative.
But you're going to, I suspect, anyway.
Yeah.
Go on.
I'm at a loss to why we, first of all, have LaSalle as the final round. I know I said it's kind of the traditional one.
Well, you know why.
But I do know why, because money talks, and I don't know, I fail to ever understand these decisions. I really do sometimes. Anyway, not only that, the order, and people will slate me so much for this, and because it'll be all irrelevant, but the order of a championship. Why we?
What do you mean the order?
The order. I'll explain. Phillip Island,
right?
Imola, Assen. You might.
What's wrong with that?
No, wait. And Laguna Seca. Them 4 circuits should be at the end of the championship season, because they are, without doubt, they provide the best racing year in, year out for World Superbikes, especially Phillip Island. Phillip Island should be the last meeting of the season, I just believe, because you should build up not only the story of the season and the results that go with that, but at what venues. Phillip Island, world-class venue. Years and years ago, and it's funny this, in 2001, I believe the last 4 rounds of the championship were a place called Oschersleben, which I don't go to in Germany. Then it was, I think it may have been Brands Hatch. Well, one of them before. Brands Hatch, Oschersleben, Assen and Imola. They all ended the championship. Now, okay, Phillip Island was at the start of the season. But then 4 circuits are top-class circuits. And that's what made 2001 pretty special, was the end of the season. It was to unbelievable circuits. In 1996, we had the same. We went to Sugo, Assen, and we also had Phillip Island at the end of the year, as well as Sentul in Indonesia. Great circuits. We just seem to be losing our way a little bit with this World Superbike calendar order. We get the best races of the year done, and then no one else wants to watch.
Perhaps, maybe, and if I were the Superbike person who was planning these things, I would have in my mind already, knowing what happened this year and potentially how kind of flat and boring it's been with only a handful of people at the top, that sort of thing. Why would I want the best circuits at the end, knowing that it could be pretty much irrelevant by the time, or the championship by the time we get to that point in the calendar? So would people pay and turn up to the best tracks, as you've said, at the end of the championship calendar, when the championship could well be over?
Could well be over, but then, you have to do...
I mean, which is worse? Having them... I think it's better having them in the middle of the season having something in play like a championship, to have them not go to the end of the season. I mean, yes, from a fan's point of view, do you know what I mean? It's better to have it a big showdown where it all comes down to the big final, as we said earlier, where 2 riders or 3 riders are slugging it out at the best circuit on the calendar at the end of the season. Everything's super exciting, but that's probably not going to happen if we're honest with ourselves.
Exactly. That's where my theory falls down. In 2000 and 2001 and 2002, I'd class that as the 3 best years of World Superbikes. We had Troy Bayliss, Colin Edwards, we had loads of top-class Noriyuki Haga, we had loads of riders battling it out, absolutely wheel to wheel. Now, we don't have that anymore in World Superbike, so my theory falls down there. So, to redeem myself slightly, I'll go for another little thing that I'm not happy about. Why on earth are we racing in Misano on the 6th to the 8th of July, and they're not back racing until the 14th to the 16th of September?
School holidays, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, school holidays, so they should have a race there straight away where people should go. Absolutely. What a joke. It's just pathetic.
Well, hold on a second. I mean, Formula One do exactly the same thing. They don't race at all. They literally stipulate in the rules almost, I think it is in the rules, to say that every team must have at least a few weeks downtime. And they kind of force everybody to shut their factories, to stop people burning out and overworking.
Right.
And
Look at the first one. Look at the first one. Australia, 23rd to the 25th of February.
Right.
Thailand, 23rd to 25th of March. That's 1 month straight away. Right. Then you've got the 10-week gap. What about all the little 2-week ones as well?
Or maybe the circuit's busy or something during then. You know, it's not all about World Superbikes.
Top of all the Grade B and the Grade A circuits in the world, they cannot find one to put in the middle of that 10-week break.
So what would you do then if you were the?
Well, put another circuit on. That'd be a start. You know.
So how many's too many though?
There's never too.
Would you have a world international race every single week?
No, I wouldn't. What I'd do is I'd start the calendar season later. I'd start at the start of March. Doesn't clash with Grand Prix. Then you've only got a 3-week break, and I'd say a 3-week break is quite acceptable. Then you run it. What you do is you put better. You don't put better circuits in. You put new circuits in, or return some older ones. So Kyalami just had a massive upgrade in South Africa. Why do we not go there?
Well,
just had an upgrade.
Maybe they can't afford it.
For purpose in World Superbike, MotoGP, for even Formula One can go there. It's a circuit that's made for everyone now. Why don't we go there? Perfect facility. World Superbikes has been there before. South African fans are crying out for a round of some sort of motorcycle racing, as they are for some sort of motorsport event.
But so let's be perfectly brutally honest. If it comes down to a choice between Qatar, oil-rich, super-rich country, or going back to Kyalami, sorry to have to put it in these blunt terms, but I'm guessing that's what it probably comes down to, is money. And some circuits and countries have enough to pay for the facilities and the infrastructure and the events, and some don't, like Qatar and other countries.
Excuse me. That's true, but again, you know, we seem to be missing this point of, you know, a 10-week gap. I don't care what anyone says; it's just not acceptable. It just is not acceptable. I speak to loads of people about this: fans, riders, team owners, and that could be in any championship, commentators as well. And 10 weeks is just too much. People lose interest. People genuinely, because the championship is a little bit stale, I won't say it's boring because it's not, because it's a bit stale, you know, people don't look forward to, World Superbikes comes back. It's interesting, World Superbikes is on, do you want to go out with the kids or whatever? You know, it's just ridiculous. I'm looking at the 2013 calendar here. Right, I'll read you it out. Date-wise. The first round on the 24th of February, the second round on the 14th of April. Now, that's already too much of a gap. You've got the 28th of April, which is the next one, 12th of May, 26th of May, 9th of June, 30th of June. 21st of July, 4th of August, 1st of September. So 4 weeks as a summer holiday, that's relatively fine. And then you're just back to normal races in September. 15th of September, 29th of September, 6th of October, 20th of October. There is no gap there. 14 rounds. I'm sorry, but, the Moscow Raceway, for example, could return because it's perfectly safe. What happened at that circuit was nothing to do with the circuit. That race should never have gone ahead. Turkey, the Istanbul Park circuit is amazing. Turkey, probably not ideal for a race at the moment. You could go back to Monza. Could go back to Monza. Could go back to Monza. Could go back to Brands Hatch if they wanted. They could go to Suzuka. There's not a lot they can do about it. They could go back to Suzuka. Yeah, they could go to Teggy. They could stick any round they want there. And yes, it's about money, but also you've got to expose new markets. And I've said this all along. If you are persistent in going to dead-end European circuits with 5 fans at them, that is not going to raise the profile of World Superbikes.
So which is the European dead-end circuits?
Donington Park is one of them. 18,000 people on race day is a disgrace. I'm sorry, that's not the circuit organisers' fault. That is just the fact that World Superbike is not popular in the UK. So take it back to Brands Hatch, and people who say, oh, we can't do it because it's not safe enough. Brands Hatch is safe enough. It's graded B, which means it therefore could hold a World Superbike round. Get that.
Yeah, I guess Kiko doesn't want to be accredited as a journalist at Brand.
Or you could also have it at the A1 ring or Red Bull ring, whatever it's called now. To have it back to back with Brno, like they do with MotoGP. Just stick 2 races in, because the calendar itself, World Superbikes is doing something that not many other championships do, and it's exposing new markets. But it has to keep doing that.
I don't know. I get the feeling that someone like you, if they only had 2 rounds in Europe, 2 great tracks wherever it was.
I'm not saying just have 2 rounds in Europe. What I'm saying is, with places like Donington Park, take it back to Brands Hatch where we know people are going to go.
Well,
because it's right in it's literally outside of London.
Yeah, but it's a bit far away for the rest of the country.
Donington Park's far away from John O'Groats, so people who don't go to Donington Park are not going to go to Brands Hatch anyway. So
geographically, it's probably in the best location.
Logistics-wise, though, is it really?
I think so. Yeah, I mean,
traffic coming out of Donington Park.
Complaints about bus and stuff and traffic and yada yada, which happens to every racetrack at a world championship.
One, I think Brands Hatch is a better circuit anyway. Probably going to provide better racing, going to get more fans, more opportunity for wildcards. Right outside London, which makes it switched onto the world, so people actually come here. Then, as long as you've got that. Got 30,000 on race day. I'd say that's a fair figure. 50,000 people at Brands Hatch is Ramo, so it's busy anyway. 30,000, though, you're looking at a good figure across Sunday as a day. There's no German round, so BMW is the manufacturer thinking, well, why are we here? There's no Japanese round, so the Japanese manufacturers, where's their home race?
Those aren't exactly new markets, though, are they? So
no, but they're not new markets. But you've got to go to where, one, the manufacturers come from, and 2, new markets. F1 have proposed...
And classic tracks. I mean, I think you're asking a bit too much, though.
No, absolutely. Classic tracks have got to stay as well. But there comes a point, where you've got to say, listen, we'll keep the classic tracks, but we will add on to what we have. So, Indonesia, there's a new circuit there in Palembang. You could go... There's a Formula 1 have proposed to go to Vietnam and the Philippines. Yamaha have just done a corporate event in the Philippines. You could have a race in Malaysia, but World Superbikes for some reason didn't want to go there again. Did look a bit quiet, but after 2 years, you can't judge it on 2 years. The Indian round, everyone rides a bike in India, and I'm sick of people telling me, oh, but they ride a bike, so that doesn't mean they're for the World Superbikes. No, but they ride a bike, therefore they will have some sort of interest in bikes.
So you tell me a
Superbike race is coming, or a Grand Prix race is coming, and you're okay. But I just think it's great that we're going back to Brno, and I don't know if you have the calendar. Yes, we do. We have the calendar now. We're going back to Brno. We're going to Argentina for the first time ever. Great stuff there. But we've got to get rid of this 10-week gap. Because as fans, not me, but other fans, I was just switching off after the first...
So you're outraged on other people's behalf?
No, I am outraged a little bit myself, because I just don't think it's... Formula One do not have 10 weeks off.
They used to. I mean, this is kind of a classical type of calendar, really, because all motorsports used to have big
weeks off.
It's not that outrageous, to be honest. And to be honest, some calendars it's well stretched over the entire year, from February to October. Some championships, very, very high profile championships, start late March and finish in September.
Yeah.
So,
but what I'm saying is, you've got a world championship. There's 196 countries in this world. Okay, not all of them have a race circuit. Okay, fair enough. But there are enough race circuits to pack that calendar out. I'm sorry, but 10 weeks gaps in World Superbikes is not on, really. Now, I know they're trying to rebuild it, World Superbikes, as a brand. I don't know if they're trying to rebrand, but they're definitely trying to rebuild what they had. And it will work, I'm sure. But, you've got to rebuild the brand in new markets, and that means going to new circuits, as well as keeping the traditional ones, which is something World Superbikes is clearly not done.
Does it need to come to the UK, in all honesty?
Yes, because you've got massive British interest. Does it need to come to Donington?
I mean, how many, I forgot off the top of my head, how many people actually...
British interest, I mean, a lot of British sponsors, lots of British riders across both classes. I do think it needs to go there. But what circuit? Silverstone is not what it used to be, is it? And Brands Hatch...
A lot of complaints as well. Silverstone is not a fan's favourite for bikes.
Absolutely. So there's Silverstone crossed off straight away. So where do you go? You probably go Brands Hatch, or you go Donington. Either way, you have to get people going. There's no point. It's like this. They're building a circuit in Kazakhstan. Okay. Now, I'm sorry, but why is that going to be any good? If they're going to build it,
it'd be good for the people who live in Kazakhstan, I suppose.
Yeah, but if they're building it to be 125,000 seater, which I think it's going to be, that's the capacity. Well, what following is there of Grand Prix in Kazakhstan? Oh, yeah, big money again. I think is it the Eurasian Bank is based in Kazakhstan? Like the Eurasian Bank is based there. But apart from that, it's another Qatar, really, isn't it? It's just another Qatar.
To be honest, I think you're slightly off the mark and maybe getting a bit sort of outraged, perhaps over nothing. For the sake of maybe being outraged. It's a decent calendar. There's nothing inherently that stands out.
It's a decent calendar, but why have we got 10 weeks off? 4 seasons ago, we didn't have 10 weeks off. We had 6 weeks between the first 2, which was a problem. Now we only have 3 or 4. That's fine.
I think if a world championship like World Superbikes, which has struggled and lost popularity and fallen out of people's consciousness and been squeezed out of people's priority list of things to follow and watch, I think if a championship like that, the biggest burning issue is that it's got a bit of a long break in the summer.
But like I say, I'm not being all negative. It's great that they're going to Argentina. It's great that we're going back to Brno. Let's just hope in the coming years, 2 races would be fine in that gap. Have 2 4-week breaks. That's fine. That's almost fine. That's almost normal. But to have the whole of August, half of July, and nearly 3/4 of September off is a little bit big. I'm sorry, it's just a little bit steep.
It's not on. It shouldn't be allowed. Ban it all.
I think that's up the World Superbike show. I must just get some news in now.
Oh, right. We have news.
Yeah, World Superbikes, the free practice of the Qatari round is today. It's happened. Tom Sykes had a massive oil spillage. Brought the red flags out and free practice 2. So yes, a lot all going on over in Qatar. Of course, the big word I'm looking for.
Talking point.
The big battle. Battle. There we are. I got there in the end. The big battle is for second in the championship, 363 points. Chaz Davies leads Tom Sykes. Virtue of race wins, 363 points each. That second place battle is going down to the wire. But that is World Superbikes wrapped up. What a show.
Yeah, just going through a couple of comments actually of some of our listeners who've still amazingly tuned in to us live. Thank you, I suppose. You've clearly got nothing better to do of this Thursday evening, but we do thank you for tuning in. Simon Hall has been on once again. He asked earlier in the show, do we think, or do you think, Kiko, Donington should open up to the public at the Melbourne hairpin instead of it being part of the paddock pass area? That's why he says he won't go there anymore to watch World Superbikes. And I know you had a bit of a gripe, amazingly, about some of the restricted access areas in things like World Superbikes at places like Donington.
Yeah, World Superbikes at Donington, though, is actually okay. They opened it up 2 years ago, and it was an open paddock last year when I went. So, yeah, Donington are doing everything they can there. So, yeah, it's an open paddock. The only thing you need to pass for is obviously the garages and pit lane.
Yeah, I would encourage you, Simon, to go anyway, just to see, because you might just very well enjoy it. And if it's local to you, all the more reason to go anyway. Michael Howarth has been on, a guest on a previous show, on the Superbike show, said earlier... I think he was referring. This is going back. Actually, we're skipping World Superbikes, and I think he's mentioning a comment as to what happened to Cal Crutchlow in MotoGP. He says, Michael says that Cal had a dodgy rear tyre. According to him, I'll take your word on that, Michael. And also he says Callio is using the new engine at Valencia.
Yes, of course. We will talk about Valencia next week, because that's going to be part of our preview show. But yeah, Mickey Callio is going to be a wildcard for KTM, the last race of the season. He is using the new engine there, and it'll be interesting to see if that engine gets passed on, presuming it will, or an updated version of the engine will be passed on to full-time riders Paul Espargaro and Bradley Smith.
Also, as well, Simon Hall with another question. Hello again, Simon. He asks what your views, Kiko, are on the Transatlantic Series being brought back as a one-off event.
I think that would be really good, and I know Stuart Higgs, the mastermind behind British Superbikes, his recent success, is trying to get it back going. They wasn't a year ago or so maybe we will see something like that. Who knows? We might see Motor America and British Superbikes come to some sort of arrangement. Of course, Stuart Higgs is race director for both, so...
Is it worth doing? Is it a good thing? Should it be done? Will it take off? Will it be successful?
It's interesting to see if it does take off, but Stuart Higgs arguably saved British Superbikes, and he's arguably saving the American series at the moment. So,
if anyone knows what he's doing, it's certainly him.
Stuart Higgs is the man. So I really do think that could be a venture, and I think it'd take a couple of seasons to get it proper going, but I definitely think there's a scope for it.
Could he save World Superbikes?
I think Stuart Higgs is probably the man to save World Superbikes, absolutely. I think we need, like Steve Parrish said, an overall what is a superbike kind of thing, what the rules and regs are, so that it makes it easier for riders to go into World Superbikes, do wildcards, because that was another unique selling point of World Superbikes, which we've lost, is the wildcard aspect. So, yeah, Stuart Higgs might be the man for that as well.
Fair enough. And it's one other thing that I forgot to mention. Right, yes, I had a couple of questions for you regarding MotoGP. I don't think we talked about it at the time. Should we get through those very quickly?
Go on then, be quick.
All right then. So I wanted to actually ask you about team orders in MotoGP now that seemingly everything is wrapped up and we all know where people are going for the most part anyway, subject to them actually turning up on the event and doing it for 2018. Your thoughts on team orders? How will it play out? Do we think could people? Do you think perhaps we think that certain people are, they're going to be the lead rider or number one rider? Will it be as clean cut as that? Will other people have the chance to take over and rival for team leader? Your thoughts?
Next season, definitely be a clean slate. But at Valencia, I think we'll see a bit of common sense riding. I don't think you'll see Jorge Lorenzo trying to get past Andrea Dovizioso if Dovi's leading. And I don't think you'll see Danny Pedrosa trying to take points off Marc Marquez because, what would be the point in that? So I think we'll see a bit of common sense riding. We kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier. Johann Zarco won't care because he's going out to win himself. But I think the Hondas and the Ducatis will be a little bit more aware of what might happen. Especially Jorge Lorenzo, he's a very big team player in Malaysia. So, yeah, I think not so much team orders, but more common sense from the second riders in their respective teams.
Also, the Ducatis, will they be, do you think, genuine championship contenders?
In 2018, I think they could be. We've had a lot of dodgy weather this year. Having said that, they've also shone in perfectly dry weather too. I think Ducati is one of the best bikes out there at the moment. Danilo Petrucci's done very well on it this season. Jorge Lorenzo's had 3 podiums on it this season. And Andrea Dovizioso's had 6 wins on it this season. So, absolutely, I believe that the Ducati as a bike is getting stronger and stronger. All they need to do now is win that championship, whether that's this year or maybe even next year. I think we'll see a really tough scrap at the top next season, and it will be one that Ducati, I think maybe both of their bikes will be in the hunt for.
Talking about 2018 as well, Zarco, his performance, especially of late, but how might he go next year, Kiko? What do you think?
Absolutely think Zarco's going to be well on it next year. He's been on it all year. This year, I think he's only had 2 podiums this year. People forget he's only had 2. This is his rookie year. He's had poles as well. I think Johann Zarco next year, I'll put my money on it now. He'll score 6 podiums. I think he'll score the same as Valentino.
Right, I'm writing that down. 6.
Yeah. No need to. I said it on record.
Okay. I'll keep you. I'll keep you up to date with your predictions, though. But that's something we should also do as well. Next year, I think we should have like a fantasy listener league or something like that to find out which predictions are the best. Obviously, it won't be you, Kiko.
Won't happen then.
But yeah, something maybe we should keep an eye on for next year. Also, KTM. They've improved, but is there more to come?
There is a lot more to come from KTM, but what a first year it's been. Well, we say first year, what a returning year it's been. They were in the championship back in 2005 under the Proton banner for KR, Kenny Roberts' team. But no, I think that KTM have really come on leaps and bounds. They're not the team at the back like we thought. I know a lot of people were a little bit disappointed with their progress this year, which I find unbelievable because they've been more competitive than any.
Not badly, have they?
No, exactly. They've come straight in with a bike that, okay, straight away wasn't amazing, but they developed it. You've got to remember, they are a new manufacturer. They are finding their feet. They are still seeing what works and what doesn't work. So they've had a great year. They've had loads of they've had quite a few top 10s, especially of late. They've had starters from row 3, which is amazing. Bradley Smith and Paul Espargaro in Japan. I think KTM could be podium contenders next year. A little bit like Aprilia have been this year. I'm expecting both Aprilia and KTM to make a massive leap forward, maybe towards the sharper end of things next year. Could be a real good advertisement for MotoGP.
So, you heard it here first. Kiko's thoughts on those things. Before we do go, though, if anybody is actually going to, at any point, the Motorcycle Live show, then you'll be, no doubt, I know, thrilled to know that Motorsport Radio, myself and Kiko, will also be in attendance. So that's, so...
We will.
Just putting it out there. I don't know. I'm excited to go. I went last year. It was my first year last year with Tom Brooks, and I'm going again this year with you. And I'll be. I had a good time last year. It was a good few days. I think I went for just the 1 day, but this year I'm planning on doing 3 days, so should be good.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I've got to say, it's going to be great to be doing a bit of presenting, interviewing and seeing a bit of what's what. We're going to see what famous faces we can bump into.
Generally stalking riders and...
Absolutely. We're going to be seeing what... I think we'll be seeing what special features we can come back with for the Superbike show, of course, as well. See what Christmas treats we can bring.
Exactly. So if you don't want to have a microphone or a camera thrust in your face at some point to ask you some questions, then stay away from us, basically, because I'm sure you'll see us knocking about the arena. But yeah, by and large, it should be a fantastic event, as it was last year, maybe even better, if that's at all possible. So if you do see us wandering about and floating around the halls at the NEC in Birmingham, come and say hello. It'd be good to actually put a face to the name of people the many thousands of people, amazingly, that tune into this show live every week, which is incidentally almost 1 year old now. For those people who are joining us, Motorsport Radio is just over 1 year old, and the very first ever live show of this kind, which wasn't a Cool Fab Racing event, took place almost a year ago. In fact, if we're live this time next week, it will be a year to the day when Motorsport Radio did its first ever live studio show, and Tom Brooks and the Superbike show was the very first ever show on Motorsport Radio.
And who else was on that panel of people?
There was I think Sophie McGinn. She was on as well, and I think we had the Quattro Plant. We had Pete Extance on the show as well. I think Philip Backlund was on, and a couple of other notable names. And some young aspiring go-getter called Tom Brooks. He was also on the show, hosting. And Kiko was also on the show as well. But yeah, it's like you've come full circle now, Kiko, from being on the very first show on Motorsport Radio to being on the latest show on Motorsport Radio.
Yeah. I know.
Can't get rid of him.
Time flies when you're not having fun.
Hey, but that really is it. Unfortunately, I say unfortunately, but hey ho, we will be back. I think next week.
Next week
to celebrate whatever we celebrate. Oh yeah, the 1 year of the Superbike show. We kind of took a bit of a gap in between the start and this show, but hey ho. Whatever. So thank you very much for tuning in to us live, as you have done. Join up to our website, motorsport.radio, become an official listener and get the inside line on all the latest gossip and going on from Kiko, basically. He knows everything.
Absolutely.
And thank you for sharing to today's show and generally just being a good all-round sport as well. And we have had a couple of just before we go again. We have a couple of suggestions regarding the Marc Marquez's picture caption competition. I haven't thought of one yet, but thank you to those who have written in. I'll put it on the website. Basically, I'll put it on Facebook. It's basically of Marc Marquez getting his arse out, probably showing us his bandages and /scars, but it was a picture I found. Don't ask me how or where or why. I was looking for that because I wasn't. I found it on some website. Anyway, I've said too much. We should go now. So Kiko's off to watch.
Just quickly. All
right, go on.
Marcus Hill has come on.
Oh, yes.
Or Mark Hill, as he's known to many people in the British Superbike paddock. He is, of course, a mechanic for Bjorn Esfand and the Everquick Racing team, which I must say had what looked like a great load of fun at Lucian's Bar for their end of season party in Hornsey. I was invited to go, but I'm very sorry I didn't attend. I had a weekend off sponging. But no, honestly, I do wish I was there. I felt guilty for not turning up. But Marcus always said, team orders or alike will spoil any event. It is not part of the sporting code. So we're going to leave you with Marcus's thoughts. You drop us your comments in on our page at Motorsport Radio, tweet us at MSport Radio online and on Twitter, and we will pick up this discussion, I think, next week when we return for another Superbike show, reviewing the Qatari World Superbikes and looking ahead to that all-important MotoGP showdown under the sun, hopefully, in Valencia, unless any dark clouds cast a spell on Spanish proceedings.
What will happen indeed. Thank you very much for tuning in. Kiko's off to watch Question Time. Thank you, and have a good night.
Motorsport Radio. The Superbike Show on Motorsport Radio.